As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and I am here as always joined by my co-host Andy. How are you this week, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, not too bad. Saw the Northern Lights last night, the Aurora Borealis, because they were hovering in anywhere basically in the UK, I think, where there was a clear sky. And
you went
Instagram
chasing, didn't you?
Yeah, so used all my geekazoidy knowledge and realised that, right, I've got to look north. Where can we go where there's a bit of a vantage point, but also would look quite cool? So went up the at the Malverns, one of the hills that I know. And I tell you, we pulled up. We thought it was going to be really dodgy and shifty, like parking, that late at night. And, I thought I was going to some sort of dogging park or something. But honestly, the hills were as busy as they are in the day. There were that many people that had obviously seen social media, and that everybody just wanted to just get their phone out and have a look. But to be fair, they were quite good.
Was it as good to the naked eye as it was in photos?
No, it never is. It's never as vibrant and it's never as saturated in colour as.
Yeah. Could you see it with the naked eye? Because the last time it happened, I couldn't see it with a naked eye outside my house, and then I took some photos and could see it on the phone.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like coloured light pollution, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When you look at a city from a long way away and there's just a glow. Well, it's a bit like that, but it was like, pink and dark purple and pink. And there was a bit of a greeny kind of hue as well. But no, it was kind of cool. It was quite good. And there were loads of people. Daisy was very confused because we woke her up at like 11 o'clock. I feel like terrible dog parents. And we were like, come on, we're coming out. Because she gets terrible separation anxiety, does our Daisy. And if we've never left her alone at night, we do it in the day because we both have to go at work. But we couldn't take the risk that she would just bark the house down and bark the neighbourhood down. So we thought we'd take her with her. She loved it. She was fine.
Excellent. Good.
But no, how are you? You sound a little bit more chirpy and slightly fresher than last week.
Mate, I have been so ill over the last week. It's ridiculous. I'm not joking. Last week, I hung up the call with you from recording the pod, walked out of my back bedroom into my bedroom, fully clothed, just got into bed and slept for 12 hours.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Directly from hanging up, I just walked into the next room and fell asleep. And I've slept for 12 hours straight, obviously waking up all the way through the night, coughing and all sorts. But then after that, I've lost 4.5 days to either being in bed or sat on the sofa, not being able to focus on anything or concentrate. So I'd love to say that I had a week off being ill and I managed to get through a whole box set of TV, or I managed to watch all these films, but I did a grand total of nothing for the whole week. I just couldn't concentrate on anything. I was just sat there staring into space, coughing my guts up or feeling terrible.
Were you sleeping more than normal? Were you getting like 12 hours a night?
Yeah, basically. And man, my watch tracks my sleep, and it like the waking up bits was like really frequent and everything, and it was saying how much sleep I was getting, but my it also tracks your heart rate, so your resting heart rate, and also your heart rate variability. And my heart rate variability this week has been absolutely awful all week, and my heart rate's been really high compared to where it normally is. Normally, when my resting heart rate is anywhere between, I don't know, 40 and 50. Normally around 45 when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And this week it's been up in like 50, 55, 60 whilst I've been sleeping, which is not good. But it just, the Saturday and Sunday, I couldn't swallow without being in pain. It was horrendous. Just not even eating food. Just, when you just need to swallow. And obviously when you're full of like crap, you just want to swallow constantly. And every time I swallowed, I was in proper bad pain. And then the cough got worse and worse, and the cough got really chesty. And every time I was coughing, I was just ripping my throat through. And so to go with the pain that I already had in my throat, I was ripping it and I was just in agony for a couple of days. It was horrendous. And then the throat started to feel better, and then I've gone all bunged up again and all blocked up. But I had to ring into work and not go in teaching. And now, you know me, I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I hate being off work. I don't do being ill very well at all. And in the last 10 years since I've worked at the college, I've only had one day off ill, and that was when I had COVID last year. And I quite pride myself in the fact I'm always in. I go to work. My leg could be hanging off, but I'm at work. This week I had to have both my teaching days off just because I couldn't physically get out the house. I didn't leave the house for 5 days.
Really?
I've just been proper shacked up trying to get rid of it. But it's been horrendous. But we're finally coming out the other side. It's just hanging around now, so I'm all bunged up in my nose. I've still got a horrible cough, but at least we're getting the other side of it. So
have you got any answers for what it was? Do you know? Have you got an inkling of what you think it is?
I'm pretty sure it was COVID. Pretty sure. I didn't actually test, but I know loads of people locally who have had COVID recently over the last couple of weeks. And my sister went down with something very similar the week before. So, I think I've caught it off the students, and it's a horrible, real nasty strain of COVID. But last year when I had COVID, I thought I had it bad then. But this time it's proper knocked me off my feet. It's been horrendous. Because you said you had it really bad earlier in the year, didn't you? And
I
knocked you out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it was similar for me as well. It was a chesty, felt like a chest infection. And at the start, you know how you feel like, oh, I know what this is. I'll be able to run this off. I'll be able to, 3 days, I'll be back as right as rain. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And then for me, it went into my head, and it made me feel a bit fluey. And like you were saying, you've just got no zest for life. You just want to, you can't do.
Yeah, I was shit 1 second, and then the next second I'd be really, really hot and have to take my jumper off, and then I'd be shivering again the next minute. And then some days I'd wake up and my whole body would ache. And but on the plus side, my glute actually feels really good because I've not been running this week.
That's what you needed to fix your blooming glutes, COVID.
Yes, I've not actually been in pain much at all with my glute and my hip because, I've not actually been aggravating it. I've just been sitting down or lying down.
So obviously you didn't run Olster, but have you run anything all week?
No,
I
haven't run a single mile since last Thursday.
You must be going insane.
Yep, completely.
When was the last time you had 8 days off running?
No, after Manchester, I didn't even have 8 days off. I only had a week. So not for a long, long time.
Yeah. So, yeah, you must have been really ill then.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've been ill.
Yeah.
You haven't run.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you ever want to know whether I'm ill or not, just check my Strava.
Yeah. He hasn't uploaded for 12 hours. Is he okay? So what's your, plan of action going to be? Have you thought about how you're going to ease back into it? Are you going to go to Parkrun tomorrow, going for PB? You sound fine. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. No, I am going to go for a easy run tomorrow and test it out. I do want to, because I've been to work today because, as I said to you last week, unfortunately, no one pays your bills when you're ill and self-employed. So I needed to go and get some work done. So I've been into work today. And if I'm well enough to go to work, I'm well enough to go for a run. That's exactly what I said. I said to my dad, he went, you won't be running this weekend because blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, no, I will. And he went, are you sure? And I went, well, if I'm well enough to go to work, I'm well enough to run. So I'm going for a run. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, fair play.
Just nice and easy, though, tomorrow and see what happens. But, yeah.
If it's anything like what I had, I don't want to bum you out, but I remember having about 2 weeks or maybe longer where I only felt comfortable in like zone 2. As soon as I couldn't. I mean, that was during the time when I was doing the long stuff, like when I was going through the ultra phase. But I just didn't feel comfortable at all going any quicker than a jog, basically. So hopefully it will be different for you, and I know you'll be keen to press on and crack on fairly soon. Yeah, unless you're gonna do a 50k or something next week. You never know.
No, it's what's called this weekend. Well, I say this weekend, next weekend. So a week tomorrow is Midlands cross country relays.
Oh, so it's back the first day of the season, basically.
No, it's not the league, not the Birmingham League. It's the Midlands Relays. So I think it's teams of 4, and you go out and do 2 laps, and then when you come back, hand over to the next person. They go off. So it's like the road relays that happened at Sutton Park recently, but cross country.
So is there a possibility of like nationals if you do well?
No, but there is nationals relays coming up, and you can just enter those.
Oh, you don't have to qualify for like a final?
No. But I don't know if our club are sending a team up this year because it's up in Mansfield. So it's a big old jaunt away. And last year it rained for the whole event, and the mud was like halfway up your calves. Oh. It was horrendous, but it was so much fun. It was great fun.
That sounds perfect for you cross-country addicts. So you know when your club do cross country, do you all like go together, or do you lift share or car share, or do you meet each other there, or is there
some of us? Yeah, some of us get lifts with each other and stuff, but there's a club tent that gets set up, so like a gazebo, and we all meet there. So we're all there to have a chat and get ready and get numbers and sort out who's going in what leg and all sorts of things like that. But so some of us travel together, but mostly we all just turn up at the place and just congregate at the tent.
So have you I remember you and the Quiney brothers talking about this the other day, but have you had your like fixture list yet? Do you know when you're starting your season and where it's going to be?
So first race is in November of the Birmingham League. But I can't remember exactly where it is. I remember, they said it was in a different place to normal, because it's normally at Pittville Park, and A and B are both in the same race for the first one, but I think it's changed this year, so I'm not sure where we are. Yeah, I'll have to find out.
Yeah, fair enough. Good stuff. Well, I'm my excuse is that I'm marathon training, so I can't make it. But
yeah. Well, when it comes to January, you won't be marathon training, will you?
I'll just book a marathon to get out of it. But then again, I imagine everyone's marathon training, aren't they? So everyone who does cross country is probably
and to be honest, in January I'll be marathon training, but still going and doing cross country.
Yeah.
So you've got no excuses.
Are they usually like, your footwear? Are they? So you've got cross country spikes and track spikes.
Yeah.
Do you wear the same shoe but change the spikes? Is that a stupid thing to ask? Is that what
No,
people do, or do you have
do.
two separate pairs of shoes? Or
I've got some cross country specific spikes, which they've got a little less midsole cushioning, so you're a bit closer to the ground, and you can actually like feel the ground a bit better, so your ankles can move with the ground and stuff. But for drier meets, I've got a pair of track spikes, which I just put longer spikes in.
Right. So do you?
I've got two different pairs, depending on what the course is like.
How much are you looking at for,
well,
including the spikes and everything? Is it expensive?
Not really. The cross country specific ones I've got, the Adidas XCS, I think they're called. They're about 35 quid full price.
Oh, right.
And then sets of spikes. And obviously you can have different length of spikes. They go 6, 9, 12, and 15 mil. And for a set of, so say you wanted 12 mil, a set of 12 mil spikes is between 3 to 5 quid.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were going to say 30 to 50 quid. I was like,
no.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. Is that because it's got no foam in the is that it's a fairly minimal shoe?
Yeah. But the track spikes that I use are the Adidas ones with the carbon rods.
Yeah.
So they're a bit more expensive. So they're about 120 full price, but I bought them in the sale. So I made sure I didn't pay full price and paid about 60 quid for them.
Is there a shoe called is it the Dragonfly?
Yes.
Nike. And is that, I imagine that's a popular shoe for a lot of people.
So the Dragonfly is a track spike mainly, and it's a middle distance spike. So it's for the longer distances on the track. So up to 10K. But a lot of people use that for cross country. It's a really popular spike in cross country, but Nike have developed a cross country specific version of the Dragonfly as well.
Right.
So they've done a Dragonfly cross country.
Do you ever see, like, I presume there's like world champs for cross country and stuff?
Yeah.
So do you know what is on the feet of these world champions? You know, what sort of shoes they wear?
Pretty much the same. A lot of them who are Nike runners wear the Dragonfly or the Dragonfly cross country. And you'd just see, just an array of spikes.
And if I turn up for the first cross country meet in trail shoes, would I literally be laughed out of there?
No, I'd say probably 60% of the people in the Division 2 races were wearing trail shoes.
Oh, okay.
It's only the people who were really properly wanting to go for it who were wearing spikes, but a lot of people just wear their trail shoes.
And also people that probably don't want to fall over.
Yes,
because they must actually be really functional. They must give you a bit of stability on the course.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, when it's really muddy, the difference between running in trail shoes and running in spikes is massive.
Yeah, because I imagine the ground more often than not is fairly cushioned and comfortable, isn't it? It's not like it's not. It's
in the UK a lot of the time it's just sludge.
Yeah.
So I think I would have landed on my arse so many times if I wasn't wearing spikes.
So would you recommend spikes for cross country? If
you want to go for it and you want to try and push hard, yes.
Yeah.
If you're happy just to make it round, then trail shoes are fine.
You know how with like, let's just say the Great North Run, for example, you can just turn up to that and you can walk it if you want. You can do what you want. There's no pressure to you can use it as a social event. With cross country, you're obviously representing the club. Is there kind of like an unwritten thing that you're not there for a good time? You're there to work hard.
Not really, no, because the whole point of grassroots club running is anybody who wants to have a go and be part of a club, come and have a go. And that's what's great about it. So there's people who, on the 10K cross-country courses in the Birmingham League, there'll be people who are running it in 30-something minutes. And there's people who will be running it in an hour and 10.
Right.
So there's no need to worry that you'll be slow, because that's not what it's about. And you'll find that all of the people who are at the back and coming in towards the end will have support all the way around. So people who are finished will stop and give them like cheers as they're coming round, and they'll be applauded across the line and stuff. So there's a really good like sense of community within it. But each club obviously supports the rest of their club. So as soon as we cross the finish line, we try to get our breath back for the next couple of minutes, but then we go and wait by the finish, like on the last sprint a little bit, and cheer everyone else from the club on until the last of our club have come in.
And it's not chip timed, is it? So is it just someone stood at the finish line just counting people over the line?
Yeah.
And shouting out your time, a bit like track, that sort of thing.
So there's a team of like judges, officials, and they put a line across the floor. And as you cross that line, they mark your time. Yeah. And then I think there's a couple of timekeepers. And then as you go through the finish funnel, they check your number and mark your number off. And there's a couple of people who do that to make sure that the numbers are correct. And then they put your number against all of the times. So it's a bit like Parkrun.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So when the gun goes or whatever, the whistle blows, whatever, that's when your time starts, no matter where at your front or at the back. Yeah, interesting stuff. Well, I mean, I probably shouldn't be thinking too far ahead of myself because I've got other things coming up before that. But it does sound like a lot of fun, and it does sound interesting.
Yeah, come on, you've got to come and get your feet muddy at cross country. Now you're a part of a club. There is no excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm not joking. It's so much fun. Yeah. Getting up on a cold winter's morning on a Saturday, going into a wet, muddy field and putting on your short shorts and your singlet to run around a muddy field. There's nothing better. It's amazing.
So do you have do you have B&R have like shorts, socks, kit, like proper full kit stuff, or is it whatever you want to wear from the waist down? Is up to you?
Yeah, the only kit you have to wear as a club runner is your club vest.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So whatever you want to match with that, you can. So I've got like my my pair of shorts that I don't really care about is my cross country shorts.
Right.
Rather than wearing a pair that I'd like to keep a bit nicer.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I'm a little bit excited to try it actually. Yeah. Watch this space.
Excellent. So, on our list of stuff to talk about this week, there was a few races on Sunday, and I must admit that during the weekend and the couple of days after the weekend, I was in no state to pay attention to anything. So I'm not really up on anybody's results from any races, unfortunately, other than you.
Well, I am the same because I was celebrating. I didn't look at Strava at all either, so I got a clue what anyone else has done.
Yeah.
So no, I'm the same. I don't really know too much about. We've had a few people email in, which we'll get round to later on, who have told us how their races have gone. And whilst we're on the subject, if you've got anything coming up, because in the next few weeks there's Yorkshire Marathon, there is Amsterdam, amongst others. I can't think what else there is. But let us know if you've got anything that you're training for, or that you've just done a race or you're about to do a race. Let us know because we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, on Sunday there was Olster 10K, which I was supposed to be running. And I said on the pod on Friday, see how I feel. Yeah, see how I feel. I'll go and run it anyway. I didn't get anywhere near that start line. I didn't leave the house, let alone start line.
If I'd have had a fiver on me that night, I would have just put it on that you were going to go and get on that start line and race. So I'm glad that you're proud of you didn't. You saved me a fiver, but I think that was a good decision.
Yeah,
but it sounds like it was made for you.
I felt terrible on Saturday, and I still said, because my parents were going to come and watch Olster, because we're only down the road. They were going to come and watch, like they did last year. And on Saturday, they sent me a message saying, "You're not racing tomorrow, are you?" And I went, maybe. I'm going to see how I feel in the morning.
I'm going to see how I feel.
Even though I felt so crap, I still had hope in my head that I was going to go and run Olster. No way.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up till everybody had finished.
Really? Yeah. Because I mean, you obviously were excited about it because it's a race you do every year, so I can imagine you were gutted to miss it. But it's it looked like, I mean, I've only got Marm's video for reference because I watched that, and it does look like a good race. It looks like a nice sort of Ulster's kind of in between a village and a town, isn't it? Is it a town or a village? I don't quite know.
Yeah. It's I think it's a village.
It's not a big town.
I don't know. Is it a town? I don't know. Yeah, should I Google it?
Things are about to get wild. Is Ulster a town or a village? Put us out of our misery. I'm going to go for a town.
Ulster is a town in England.
Yes.
There you go.
Thought so.
You are correct.
But it's all like, for anyone that's never been there, Warwickshire. Is it technically Warwickshire, Ulster? Because it's near Stratford.
Yeah.
It's got like this big Tudor heritage, from like the Warwickshire influence of Warwick Castle and Stratford and things. So there's a lot of these not medieval. Well, yeah, I guess there are like medieval sort of mews and buildings, aren't there? It's a really quite a picturesque town. A town. Yeah. So it looks like a really nice place to finish a 10K in, and it's quite a quaint place. And I like
such a good race.
I like that finish straight. So remember you going celebrating as you were running over the line from last year, and it does look like a nice finish straight when you come around that right. Is it a right turn?
Yeah,
to finish,
right turn onto the main town road.
Yeah,
it's good.
So it looks like a good fast course, and I don't know anyone that actually did it apart from Marm, who looked like he did well.
We know Marm did it. He was just coming back from injury, wasn't he? So that was his first run back after he injured his knee. But I know loads of the club, loads of B&R runners ran it, but unfortunately, as I say, I'm not up on their results. I probably need to have a look. Hang on, I'm going to bring up the Ulster 10K results if I can. Sorry, I'm going to Google it here and there.
I think I saw Will Noyce.
Yeah, Will Noyce ran it
in Marm's video. Yeah, so he would have been around, as I guess, 38ish, was he?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Ulster 10K.
Was it Will that? Who was it that saw him? Was it Mac? Somebody saw him running a race recently, and he was
with no shoes on.
We had no shoes on. Yeah. What had happened there? His Vaporflies had just fallen off, cutting off, hadn't they?
So basically, he bought a pair of Vaporflies, and his Vaporflies ripped all the sole off his foot, rubbed so bad the whole of his sole came off his foot.
My God.
And that was during Birmingham Half. Yeah. So he sent the Vaporflies back and said, "I don't want those. Can I have credit on another pair of shoes?" And got a different pair of shoes. I think he bought the Asics Metaspeed Sky.
Right.
And he then raced. Where was it? Leamington, I think it was. It was either Leamington or Solihull, somewhere like that. And he got halfway round, and his feet started to feel exactly the same as they did in the Vaporflies. So he just took his shoes off and finished the race. The last 5K with no shoes on.
That's pretty commendable to be in that much pain and then to take your shoes off. Maybe he'd already gone through that pain threshold. He thought, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Right. So Ulster 10K was won by Andy Lawrence from the Stratford Athletic Club in 31:53. So
right,
pretty quick race. Second was Mike Cowley, who is a B&R runner, but he also runs for Run Ulster. So he was down as Run Ulster in 34:14. And third was Robert Niek in 35:28. Oh man, how close is that? And Ollie Wilson from B&R. I think this is a PB for him over the 10K as well, because he was just behind me last year. He ran a 35:29, so he was 1 second behind third. So that must have been a great sprint finish.
Yeah,
So that's amazing, Ollie. Well done, mate. 35:29. Who else? Wayne Watkins from B&R. He ran 36:04 for 7th place.
right.
Who else have we got? Kieran McMahon, 36:42. So that's great running. Jeremy Pike from B&R. He ran 36:47. Kieran Brooks from B&R ran a 36:53. So great running from all of those guys. Who else have we got? There's some black pair joggers here as well, Andy. So you'll have to come and join us next year.
Yep. Did Lisa run it?
Yes, she did. Yeah, I think she was just behind Mom. Will Noyce from B&R. He did 38:04 for 27th. So well done, Will. Mom did it in 38:11 for 30th. And Lisa was 33rd. Lisa Thomas in 38:22, and I think she was second lady overall.
Amazing.
Just behind actually Holly Burt in 38:14, so she was first female.
Right.
And Tom Richmond from Bromsgrove and Redditch, 38:34. Man, some great running. And Jordan Adams, 38:54. From B&R. So yeah, some really good running from the B&R guys. So
did anybody run a 39:59 to get a sub 40?
There's a guy called Michael Jones whose gun time was 39:59, but his chip time was 39:53.
Lad, fair play.
And that's gutting and annoying. The guy called Nathan Smith from Bratt, he ran a chip time of 40 minutes and 0 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah.
So do you think the clock on chip times rounds up or down? It obviously rounds to the nearest second.
Yeah,
because if he ran,
all depends on how many tenths of a second. If you're 4 tenths of a second or less, it will round down. If you're 5 tenths of a second or more, it will round up.
So if you're 39:59.6,
it will round up to 40.
Right. Okay. Oh God. Well, I suppose there has to be a tipping point, doesn't there? There has to be a. Yeah. Well, speaking of that as well, from Cardiff, which is the race I did at the weekend, the winner won it in. Let's have a look. The winner was called Patrick Mosin, and he won it in 1 hour and 1 second.
Oh man!
And then the second was called Vincent Mutai, and he was 1 hour and 13 seconds. Cosmos Boy, 1 hour and 18. Fourth with 27 seconds. Fifth was 39 seconds. So looks like quite a. I wonder if they were a bit of a pack, and then one of them broke away. And
were they some? They sound like Kenyan names. Were they some proper top Kenyan runners? That
I had the weirdest, craziest moment at Cardiff. It wasn't that crazy in the grand scheme of it, but I was thinking, this is crazy. So I got in my pen, because I was the second pen behind the elites. And Probably because I said I'd run a 1:15 half or something like that. So I got into the white pen, and then I did a warm up in like the just to the side of the pen, on like where, like, for example, like the pavement is. Loads of people were doing like an out and back, warm up. Only 50 meters, 100 meters. And I was warming up as the elites were doing it as well. Because they were doing their warm ups, and I was like, what on earth must they think of me, for example? But it was just so funny to think that I'm warming up with these guys who are just running like 59-minute half marathons. And it was someone, we'll get onto this, but someone emailed in, I can't remember who it was now, who said, name another sport where you can do that. You can be on the start line with your heroes. It's not like you can just walk out at Old Trafford or Anfield or whatever and line up with the best footballers in the world.
Well, it's not like you can just walk out on Old Trafford. You'll never step on Old Trafford football ground.
No. So it's amazing, isn't it? And it was, you knew. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the cream of the crop that were there at Cardiff. I mean, we're talking probably people that are maybe 30 seconds faster than them, so small margins, but you knew who the elites were. You could just tell them a mile off. They were all small and slight, and they just looked like elites. And it was just a bonkers feeling, but lining up in pretty much the same pen as these guys, as Vincent and Cosmos, whoever these Kenyans are there. So it was pretty good. But yeah, the race, by the way, has already sold out. Tickets.
Mate. Yeah.
So
it's mental.
At the time of recording this is Friday. Only 5 days ago was the race on Sunday. Tickets went on sale, I think, on Wednesday, and by Thursday they'd sold out. So they'd sold out within 12 hours, I think, of going on sale. And that is like not a small race either. That was about 25,000. That is just the early bird. So fingers crossed they'll release some more.
Okay.
So, but I mean, I might be wrong. That might have been the whole allocation, because I think they'll probably have to hold a lot back, because there's this super half thing, which is the Valencia and the Copenhagen link. But what was really cool about the race was a little bit like, I've seen this in videos of the Comrades Marathon in South Africa. If it's your first time or running, you've got a special bib, haven't you? Saying it's your first one, or it's your 10th one, or it's your 20th one. If you're doing these super halves, you have something you put on your back, like the elites do, and you put it on the back of your vest saying, this is my such and such a super half. Like, this is my 4th. This is my final. This is my 1st. And it's pretty cool.
That's a bit like the 6-star finishers for the major marathons. You have so if it's your last star, so you're going to get your 6-star medal at the end. You have a special bib that you put on the back of your singlet that says, I am about to get my 6-star finisher. Well, it was a wicked race. And shall I mention a bit about it, or should we leave it to the end? Tell us all about your race.
All right. So went down with Rich and Julia, who came and who drove down. So I jumped in with them, and we got down there for about 8ish, 8:30.
I was just going to say that in the chat there was a message from you that made me chuckle, and it was, do you want me to send you a proof of life? So I don't do another 2 castles on you.
Well, yeah, this is based on 2 castles when I had to pick Rich up, and I said, right, I'll come for you at 7:15. And his text saying, are you on your way, woke me up. Because I think that was the time I should have picked him up. So he texted me about 7:15 saying, where are you? And I was like, I'm in bed, mate. I'll be there in half an hour. So I had to get up, and that wasn't pretty. But so fortunately, hopefully I set Rich's mind at rest when I said, here's proof of life that I am alive and on my way. So we got down to Cardiff, and it was relatively easy, actually. So it was one of those, it was a circular route around Cardiff. So if you imagine the city centre car parks are within the route, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there are road closures if you leave it too late. So that was one thing I was conscious of. And we parked on, I think, the John Lewis car park in the middle of Cardiff. And I sort of said to Rich and Jules, I was like, I'm really sorry for getting you out of bed. We're here about 2 hours early. But I was, for once in my life, I was a little bit conscious about not being late and not being, because those big city marathons quickly become stressful, don't they?
Yeah.
I can imagine London being the same. If you're not on your way by 6:30 in the morning, you're too late, probably.
Yeah. You didn't want to do a parkrun on it and just park on the grass by the start and just jump the fence.
Yeah. There is a video that I put out about 12 months ago where you can literally see my car on on the finish line straight because all the spaces were taken. And I didn't have anywhere to park, and it was about 8:54, and I was like, "Oh God, where am I going to park?" So I just panicked and just parked on the actual course. So yeah, I feel a bit bad about that. I wonder if they've double yellow lined it since then. I don't know. But yeah, so me and Rich did a warm up. We spent about a good, I reckon, 3 hours trying to decide on Rich's footwear because he didn't know. He didn't know if to go for the Vaporflies or the Alphaflies. He did his warm up in the Alphaflies, and then we had to run back to the car for the Vaporflies. So
did he go for Vaporflies in the end?
Yeah, he went for his Vaporflies in the end, and I went for my bloody Alphas. So let me tell you, they're good. I really got on well with them. And I knew I would, I think, based on that 10K or whatever I did, a few weeks ago, where I just felt a little bit of extra something that I haven't felt from a shoe since maybe I bought my first pair of super shoes. Because when you put them on, you must admit they just feel different, don't they?
Oh yeah, they're bizarre. Yeah.
And I just thought, I was doing a warm up with Rich, and I was like, I was looking at my GPS wasn't working, and it was saying I was doing something like really stupid, like 12-minute Ks. I was like, my GPS is going to have a shocker today. I was like, we must be doing an easy pace. We must be going, equivalent of 2-hour half marathon pace or slower. And we were doing like 1 minute 40 pace, 1 hour 40 pace. I was doing race pace in the warm up because I didn't realize that's what the shoes give you, if you know what I mean, and especially on fresh legs as well. And so Rich is like, "Oh, we better calm down a little bit here." So we did. We eventually got into the pen, which was really stress free. We found a Wetherspoons, dropped the kids off because I'm too posh for the Portaloos. / can't be asked getting in the queue for them. Top tip for any big city or town centre race: just find a Wetherspoons. You'll probably have a much more pleasant experience.
Yeah.
And so we got on the pen, and then we were right at the front. Welsh national anthem was on. It was pretty cool. I was thinking of good old Tommy D, because he was like, "Make sure you sing the Welsh national anthem." I was just like, don't really know it, but that was pretty cool. So that was pretty good. The weather was cool, and it just started spitting as we lined up. So I haven't talked about like what I wanted from this race, by the way. So I'm on the start line. I'm wearing my Alphaflies. I'm wearing my fast gear, including half tights.
I was going to say, I did see a photo of you wearing half tights for a half marathon. I was like, what is going on here?
I was in the white pen. I was in the pen with the elites, wasn't I? So I thought I've got my Alphas on. I can't come in me 9-inch board shorts like normal. I've got to come in me. I've got to look the part. So dressed all in black as well, like I'm going to a funeral. And so I was ready to rock. I was ready to rock and roll.
The funeral of your past PBs.
And I just, having done as well a full week of training, I just thought, let's just go as far as we can go. And if we bonk, we've always got the half marathon PB from 3 weeks before at Redditch. At Worcester, sorry. So at Worcester, I ran 1:34:55, I think, which was it's always a goal of mine to run well at Worcester and hopefully get a PB there, which is what I did. So I just thought, right, let's roll the dice, go, and just whatever happens. I'm not that bothered if it doesn't go well, because I'm at the end of an 85K week, which is 52 mile or something like that. So it was most of run for a long, long time. And so in kilometers, my pace I needed to hang on to was 4:25, which would have been 2 seconds faster than PB pace at Worcester, which, what's that, about 7:11s, 7:10s or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to try and run. And there were no paces, no weird random 1:35 paces or anything like that. It was all usual 1:30, 1:45, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I started ahead of the 1:30 pacer. And as we all crossed the start line, Rich obviously disappeared into the distance. And the 1:30 pacer came past me within a few seconds. And I just had that thought of thinking, shall I go with them? Shall I go with them? Because you just hear that, that sort of symphony orchestra of super shoes all smashing the pavement in perfect synchronicity. And you think, yes, I think today could be the day when I join in, but I didn't. I thought, no, let's not be too greedy, because I don't want to. As much as I knew I could bonk, I didn't want to bonk after 5K or 8, or 5 miles. So I thought, right, let's not. So I let them go.
There's rolling the dice, and then there's just being silly.
Yeah, because I said on this podcast, didn't I, a few months ago, that I would really like a 1:30 half marathon, which I don't think is far away, but I still don't think it's attainable. It's Misa.
Hey.
Hello, Misa. Hello. Have you come to join us for the podcast? For the Percast?
Yes.
Well, yeah. So I was looking at my watch, and I think I ran 4:20 first K, then 25, then 22, then 26, then 26. So I started off not too fast. 1:30 guys had come past me because they're running 4:15s or was that 6:50s is that what, sub 3 paces, sub 1:30 pace?
6:51.
Yeah, so I knew I wasn't going off too fast. 5K under my belt, and there's a hill at 5K, and it's quite noticeable because Cardiff is quite a flat course, but there's 2 hills of that will potentially derail you. One is at 5K and the other is at 12 miles. So the other was at 19K. And this one is a gradual long one. It's not a short one like the 12 miler. And I got up and over that, and this is going to a town, a part of Cardiff called Penarth, which might be a separate town, I'm not sure, which is along the seafront. And then you come back up north into Cardiff along something called the Barrage, which is an exposed bit where you've got water on either side of you. You've got the marina and then sea.
Yeah.
So Tommy D and a few other people who run the course had said, if the wind is bad, I'm sending hope your way, because you can get horrible headwinds and crosswinds. But fortunately, it played into our hands on that bit because it actually was a tailwind.
Oh,
so
nice.
It was actually pushing us forward, which was really nice. So then, I don't know if you know Cardiff at all, but then you come in for 10K, you come into Cardiff Bay. And you come into like the Welsh Opera House, that really cool building. And it's just a really good part of the course, a really good section. And I got to 10K having just done 4:25, 4:21, 4:22, 4:23, 4:24. So almost metronomic, like doing really well. Looked at my watch and GPS, sure I shouldn't get too excited. 10K PB. Which is beatable. I never race 10K, so I don't do it very often. So that's how I thought, this is either going to be a really good day or a really bad day.
Yeah.
So I think my at the time, and I'm still not claiming this as a 10K PB, that was 44:20 is my 10K race PB, and I think I crossed the 10K mark about 43:55 or something like that. So quite a bit quicker. Because I'm bang on pace here. I'm averaging 4:24s here, and I wanted 4:27s. And then the next 5 or 6K to get to 10 miles, 4:23, 25, 4:30, 4:23, 4:26, 4:25. So again, doing pretty well. And now I'm at 10 miles, and I'm just realizing that I've only got 5K to go. And this time 2 or 3 weeks ago in Worcester, I was really struggling by now.
Yeah.
And by now, I'm feeling like I've got more. I'm feeling like okay, we're not at 95% here. We're at something like 80 or 85. I reckon I've got a bit more. And I did say to myself before the race, if we've got anything left, use it wisely, but give it all you've got. So I held back until the 20th K. I didn't. And the reason I did that is because people have been warning me about this hill at 12 miles.
Yeah.
And you go past this really awesome section because you do like not a figure of eight. You do like an out and back. You go past a roundabout and you do a lap of a lake, and then you come back past that roundabout. And this roundabout was just buzzing with people. There was like a party atmosphere. I came past, and it was the perfect song. It was Tina Turner, Rolling. So the crowd are buzzing. I was trying to match the cadence because that beats per minute. It's quite a fast song.
Yeah.
Everyone was partying, and I thought, yes, I'm well up for this. And I did my lap of the lake, and I got to this hill at 20K. And this is going to sound cocky. This is going to sound bad. But I got to the top of it, and I sort of looked behind, and I was like, is that it? I can't believe I've just flown up this hill and it hasn't destroyed me. I mean, thinking back, it was quite steep and it did slow me down a bit, but I was expecting it to go on for a lot longer than it did. Unfortunately, It didn't, but it was quite steep. But I just thought, right, I'm going to go full Elesmore mentality and just elbow my way up this, what's that poem? Do not go gentle into the night. That rage. I thought, don't take it easy, because you'll only slow down. You'll get to the top of the hill and you'll still be knackered.
Exactly.
So just go up the hill and just get up there. You've nearly finished. You've only got just over 4 or 5 minutes to get it done. So you might as well just go hard. And it's a massive confidence booster when you're sort of going past people as well. And I got to the top of the hill and it just clicked over 20K. And I did that K in 4:30. And I thought, right, come on, let's go for it. So I dropped my 21st K at 5K pace. Did a 4:04. So that's like a 6:30 in it, 6:32 or something like that. And then my top speed, my Garmin said I got it to like almost world record marathon pace. I finished with like 2:45 a K pace. And I finished, my last 200 meters was a 3:20 pace. And I got over the line. And I came around the last corner, because as you come around to the last corner, you do a hard left or a 90-degree left, and you see the finish line. Now, I thought in my head it was going to be like Manchester. I thought it was going to be 800 meters or 500. That finish arch at Manchester is probably a good 500 meters away, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was only about 150 meters away. So I thought, that's sprintable. I could do that. So, and there was a guy who kicked at the same time as me. And I know it's immature, but I was like, I can't let you beat me. I can't. I've got my Alphaflys on. I've got my half tights. I can't let you beat me. So I just outkicked him and I sprinted as fast as I could. And I just didn't stop until I got over the line. And I knew it had been a good day. And I didn't look at my watch for the last, 5 minutes of the race, because I knew I was rolling. So I thought, yeah, I think that went well. Looked at my watch, 1:33:20 something, and my official chip time was 1:33:19.
Mate,
so that's
incredible.
So that was a 95-second PB, I think.
So that means this year you've knocked 2.5 minutes off your half time.
Yeah.
That's incredible, mate.
I was nearly at 1:36. So, and someone on my YouTube channel said as well, do you know what sort of gave me extra fuel? They basically said, I know I make a joke out of this every week, but they basically said, you can only run fast when Brett's there. And I thought, right, I'm going to show them today. And I know it's a cliche, but if the best way to do the talking is on the pitch, isn't it? The best way to answer the critics is doing, not talking. So I was just really glad that I managed to do well, and yeah, absolutely wicked race. I genuinely would put it on the same level as Great North Run in terms of amazingness. I really genuinely thought it was a great race.
I was there with you in spirit, so I was there with you.
Yeah, I had a little picture of you. I just had you in my ears. I had my my earphones in, just you going on repeat. Yeah, I'm not waiting for you. You'll have to catch me up.
Yeah, you had me in your AirPods going, come on. I'm
gonna kill you. So yeah, I was again, it could be a rose tinted glasses kind of scenario, but because it's the first time I've done it. But I think the race was really, really good. And if you can get a chance to enter Cardiff, I would say do it, because it's a really, really good race. Organisation, especially where I was great. No waiting around. Tell you what was chaotic though was getting out. So we had to, and the weather didn't help because we had a few basically flash floods. But we had to go all the way back through Newport to come up and through the bridge and over Newport and out to the M4 that way, rather than go to the A48 way, because that was just, the congestion was really bad. So, but yeah, so a couple of other people that ran Cardiff, I know, were Sam Blackmore. So Sam's got an interesting story. Sam, unfortunately, his granddad had passed away very recently, maybe even last week. And his granddad was a keen runner and was a member of Cheltenham Harriers running club. And Sam said, told them the sad news, and they said, let's give you, in his honour, a Cheltenham Harriers vest. So Sam got to run the race as a Cheltenham Harrier, which I imagine felt super emotional. So, and he got it round in 2:07, and he got a big PB.
Yeah, excellent. Good running,
so and he ran for a charity called Big Moose, who again do amazing things. They're down in Cardiff, and I don't know a lot about them, but they're a charity that raise money for the homeless, and they do a lot for people in really unfortunate, scenarios, and they do a lot in the local area. They've even got their own coffee shop, Big Moose have. So Sam went there beforehand, and he, had a big group photo and everything, and he even got a massage there afterwards and a donut or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but he had a good day at the office. So well done to Sam Bam, who's got his own YouTube channel. And Beardy Rich, he did a 1:31:14, which I could see in his eyes he was disappointed with. But that's still a pretty decent time, especially considering a few things. He's not in half marathon PB shape because he's had a difficult summer. He had COVID or a viral infection over the summer. He's had some injuries from Newport that he picked up from his hamstrings. And the day before the Cardiff, he basically ran 2 seconds off a 5K PB.
I know. I thought that was so silly, but I was like, go on, lad.
Yeah. But we were talking afterwards, and he sort of was saying that a little bit like me with my Worcester time. He's like, well, I've got my 1:27:30 from Coventry a few years ago, or 18 months ago, or a year ago. And like, I've got that time. That time's not going anywhere. When I'm ready to challenge it, I will. At the moment, I really enjoy trying to get faster over the 5 and the 10K. And if it means not maybe running a PB at a half marathon, that's okay.
But it's all good miles in the legs at a good pace.
Yeah,
so that's going to aid his 5K and 10K times anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, Rich did really well. And what was interesting as well was I met Julia at the top. We were both looking for him at the top of a set of stairs, and we could just look down on the crowd, and we were playing like real life Where's Wally, because you could see his red hat. And we saw him straight away. So that was quite funny. So yeah, a good day at the office for me personally.
Amazing, dude.
So just good. Feeling really pleased that I got a 1:33:19.
Yeah.
So yeah, I must have been the Alphaflys. It must have been.
Or your marathon fitness that you've been building.
When you just think, well, I can't have done that much in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is.
No, but it's not what you've done in 2 weeks. It's what you've been doing throughout the whole year. And when you think about it, since you've moved house, what's the one thing that you've started doing more?
The hill
work. And that's gonna aid you in everything, especially in running up a hill at the end of a half marathon, where you're passing people because you're so strong on the hill now.
With it from a purely selfish point of view, that was my favourite part of the race, because I remember distinctively having this memory when I did the same sort of thing happened. I got a PB, a big PB that I didn't expect when I did the Stafford half marathon, which was just before Brighton, and I did a 1:45. It's mad that it's like nearly 12 minutes slower. But at the time, I remember going up this hill, and I hadn't trained at the pace I was running at. I was running at 8-minute miles, 5-minute Ks, and I'm thinking, when am I going to run out of steam? Why am I still okay going up this hill? And I was sort of going past people, and I just thought, this feels amazing. And it was, surprise, surprise, towards the end of my marathon training block. And yeah, it was like the best feeling when you can just go up a hill and not feel like you're, dying a horrible death.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a good feeling.
PBs aren't made in a couple of weeks, mate. They're made over the years that you've been putting in the effort. So all of it is so everything you were doing 2-3 years ago has gone towards getting that PB at Cardiff.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of the goal isn't the goal, or the target isn't the target. It's a 5-year project, or a 10-year, or maybe a 20-year project, like it's just you stack these training blocks one on top of the other. Good things are going to happen, aren't they?
Yeah.
With consistency.
Consistency and the mileage in your legs. The more and more miles you put in the legs, the more they're going to get used to having those miles in the legs and the way that they work doing that mileage. So it's a culmination of everything you've been doing over the last God knows how many months, rather than in the last couple of weeks since Worcester, I've done an extra bit of this and this. That's not what gave you the extra boost at Cardiff and made you get another PB. It was all of the training that you've put in throughout the year that's built up to this point.
I've got the smallest bit of FOMO though, and I'm just thinking, is this greedy Andy speaking, or is this like, oh, you missed an opportunity there? Should I have rolled the dice and gone with the 130s and just seen what happened? No. But that's that it didn't happen, so there's pointless talking about it, is it?
That is greedy Andy talking, because we're now down to the point where your PBs are getting smaller and smaller in increments.
Yeah.
And you're not going to smash off 5 minutes off your PB in one go now.
Yeah.
You might in a freak race where all of a sudden it just all clicks into place. That might happen, but I don't think it's going to happen now. And I think if you'd have gone with that pace, you probably would have bonked really hard at about 10 mile.
Because that pace isn't far off my 5K pace currently.
Exactly.
Which would have been a bit of a dangerous liaison, I think, if I'd have tried to do that.
Yeah. If you think of it, a 1:30 half marathon is 6:51 a mile, right?
Yeah.
And what you've just run is 7:10 a mile.
Yeah. So
that's 20 seconds a mile. That's not a small increment, mate. That's quite a big chunk.
And Adam, who I ran with at Worcester for the first 4 or 5 miles.
Yes,
Adam Neal.
Yeah.
So Ad said that he ran Worcester at 7:11 with me. So we ran out with that 1:35 pacer. But then halfway at 10K, he just cracked on. And I saw him at the end, and he was dropping 6:50s.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't think I'm quite there. But what a way to finish a race. That is 20 seconds a mile faster.
Incredible. But I've been chatting to him about his training recently. And when because he's doing York Marathon. Is that next week?
I think it's the week on Sunday.
So he's doing York Marathon, and he's been training towards that. And his training's been going really, really well. He's started doing some track workouts and things like that. And he's now broken 20 minutes in the 5K a couple of times during training. And he's starting to really build up pace. So when he first set up his training for York Marathon, he was aiming for a 3:30. So somewhere around 3:30. And he's using the Runner app to do his training. And after probably 2 weeks of his training, runner said, all of your paces are way ahead of where you need to be in your training. Do you want to up your target? So his target is now a lot lower than it was originally because his training is going so well. I'm just hoping that his training hasn't gone so well that he's burnt himself out a little bit, and when it comes to the marathon, it hits him. But the way he's been training and the paces he's been hitting in training have been really strong. His longest run of the block, he did a 21 miler with 2 blocks of 10k, so 2 lots of 6 miles. And the 2 lots of 6 miles, he was running at under 7 minute mile pace.
Wow, that's sub 3 pace nearly, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a really, really impressive bit of training that he's managed to do and managed to build up. But he's been really focused, been really strict on his training, been really positive about it, been really good at his gym work and his S&C, and he's been really focusing on that every week. And he's just getting stronger and stronger. So hopefully he smashes York out the park.
It was it Ad that famously said when he was being paced by the one and only Brett Elesmore for a 5k at Parkrun, you were going, come on, Ad, come on, come on. And he famously says, I'm trying.
That was on Christmas Day last year.
Yeah.
I took him down to Parkrun, and it was his first ever Parkrun, and he PB'd the 5k by about 2.5 minutes.
Really? Yeah. He's done really well this year, hasn't he? He's had a really strong, solid year.
Yeah.
So all the best if you are listening. Ad, I hope you smash York, and remember that hill at 25 miles because there is one. But yeah, so shall we talk about Chester?
Yes,
because we 2 of our guests were involved in Chester, the Quiney brothers.
They were TQ and KQ.
Yes. So they had very, what's the word? High targets, really, that they had. They really weren't going there to.
Yeah, they weren't going to mess about, were they?
They had
going, aiming high. But I suppose that's what you've got to do at a marathon, isn't it? You've got to set your targets high.
Yeah.
And if you come in under that target, fantastic. If you don't quite hit the target, never mind. It's still a good achievement, and we go again. Yeah,
because I know the boys had slightly different times. I think Carl was aiming for that championship time, I think.
Yeah, 2:40 he was going for, yeah.
Yeah, and Todd wanted something around 2:50, I think.
2:50, yeah.
Yeah. So their video may well be out by the time you are listening to this.
Ooh.
So go and type in Chester Marathon 2024, because I'm sure I saw on TQ on the Run's Instagram that it is ready. I just don't know if I don't think it's been released at the time of recording this podcast. So go and have a look how they did. But yes, so shall we? We've only got their chip times, haven't we? We haven't got their Stravas in front of us, but
no.
So we don't exactly know how the day went for them.
No, I know they both had a bit of a tough day at the office towards the end. I think Todd said from mile 16 he struggled. It just wasn't in his legs, and from what I've seen, he said he knows that now in the next block he does, he needs to up his mileage. He said it was just the lack of mileage that he'd done during the block and the big mileage weeks that he'd done where the fatigue started to hit in the legs and the endurance wasn't quite there. But he still ran a great time. He ran 2:54 and 2 seconds.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, still an amazing time. 2:54, pretty much bang on the nose. So to struggle from 16 mile and still come in at a 2:54, you can't be upset with that, can you?
That's nearly half of the marathon, feeling like you just want to pack your bags and go home.
Yeah.
And to get through that I would love Penny for his thoughts for the last hour and a half, or the last hour of that. That must have been, that must have been some battle.
Yeah. And then Carl, I've not heard too much about KQ's race, or how it went, or how he was feeling, or anything. But he came through with a 2:51.54. So 2:51 was his chip time, which again is still an incredible time.
And people should know how hard Chester is, because you look at the first thing you do when you sign up to a race, or maybe I shouldn't, but the first thing I do is look at the elevation. 200 meters. Oh, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. But when it's 10 and 12 and 15 meters here and there, and it never really evens out, and then there's one or two really sizable hills, it doesn't tell the elevation never tells the whole story.
No.
And that Chester is a rolling course. It's basically in the countryside. Now, whenever you do a race in the countryside, you know that there's very likely going to be some hills, and there is at Chester. That there are some really challenging sections at 15 miles. Like there's that village called Holt that me and Todd were laughing about. That is a killer of a hill, and that I remember getting to the top of that and thinking, I think I'm done. So I think I know the exact same moment Todd was probably feeling done. You get to
what's it like out in the countryside as well? Is it quite lonely? There's not much support.
Yeah, it was you basically run through a load of different villages, and the village sections are people come out and stand outside the church or playing the fiddle or whatever. There's some people playing brass band and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of support, and it's quite a quiet race, apart from the city centre, which is awesome. When you come at the top of that sandy lane, 25 miles, that last mile is brilliant, because you're running down the sort of medieval streets and the Roman streets of Chester, and you come alongside the river, and then the crowds start really building you back up. That bit's really, really good, but it's not like that the whole way around by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite a quiet race. So
bit like Newport.
Yeah, very similar to Newport. You're out on your own, and I imagine even more so on your own if you're out of the thick of it. If you're not in the big clusters, the sub 3 group or the sub 4 group or the 330, or if you're sort of out there running 251, 254, you probably will have spent a lot of that race on your Todd. Yeah. No pun intended. In fact, definitely pun intended. So yeah, I'd love to know what it was like for you boys, and I'm looking forward to seeing the video. I'm sure it's going to be a brilliant one.
I am as well. Yeah.
So
amazing work to both of you. I'm well impressed. But what I like about it is you're both now even more hungry for next year's races, and I know Todd has already said he's going to sign up to Manchester, and he's going to go and smash out Manchester next year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both of them can do in the spring marathon.
Yeah, I'm sure, like we were saying, they'll use Chester as just another training, just another day of training, and it will go towards building back up for April next year. So yeah. But yeah, well done, lads. Can't wait to see the video, and I'm sure you had some well-deserved treats afterwards, because it's a real battle.
Yeah,
doing Chester. And then from one set of brothers to another, Sam and Ben Bauer did the marathon as well. And this is the same set of brothers that did Paris in the spring. Ran pretty much the whole way, and then Sam saw the finish line and just went for it, because he couldn't handle losing the Battle of the Bowers. And on this occasion, it was Ben who reigned supreme. This is Strava time anyway, stopwatch time. Ben did a 3:42.22 and Sam did 3:55.18. Now, if I know Sam like I think I know him, he'll be delighted with that, because Sam, he'll admit this, doesn't do a hell of a lot of long runs. He does a lot of short stuff because of his job. Yeah. He'll get up at like 4 and 5 in the morning, do a 5K around Droitwich, and then do one again on Thursday, and then maybe a parkrun Saturday.
Yeah,
and he'll be lucky to do 20 mile in the week. And he just coasts along through life
Yeah.
like that, and he can run sub-4s really easily.
Yeah.
So I'm sure every marathon he's run this year has been sub-4 with not a hell of a lot of training compared to a lot of us.
Yeah,
so
sub-4 on nothing but a Marmite sandwich.
Powered by Marmite, literally powered by Marmite. So yeah, very well done to you boys, and I hope you had a good
great running, guys.
A good day out there as well. Yeah,
excellent. Right, so shall we go on to some comments and emails?
Yes, we definitely should, because some of them have given us some questions to chat about.
Yeah, right. Let me pull up the comments. So, first comment from this week was from Matt Southam, who said, "Just discovered Andy has a podcast. Thanks, YouTube." So
technically,
thanks, Matt.
and Brett. So not just mine.
Yeah. But no. Thanks for
cheers,
joining us, Matt. Then we've got Grumpy Gary 999, who said, "Ulster 10K for myself on Sunday the 6th. Hope I don't see you there, Mr. Elesmore, you germ-infested beggar."
Is this Gary Manders?
I think it possibly could be. "Take a recovery day, you madman. I had a vision of Andy sat one side of the screen and just a pile of tissues the other side before the end of the podcast."
Yeah.
"My only goal Sunday is to beat my age, 57 in minutes and seconds. Best I can do these days. Old age, arthritic feet, etc. Get my excuses in early. Great watch as always." Thank you for that, Gary. And then
hopefully see you at the Kingfisher 10K.
Yes, fingers crossed. And then next one is from Leggett Lee. Good old Leggett Lee, who said, "Soon as you started reading the comments out, I was patiently waiting." "Get well soon, Brett. Had the Rona myself this week and it knocked me for 6. See you lads at a race soon." So
this is
that was
in reference to Lee holding the crown and defending it like a lion, saying, "Don't come anywhere near my PBs. Back off, you other brothers." Yeah.
And then we had one from Andy Ainsworth, who said, "Big fan of the podcast, guys. What is your favourite half marathon or marathon in Europe, so outside the UK? I've run Barcelona a few times and it's a good circuit. PS, get well, Brett." So thank you for that, Andy. So what's your favourite half marathon or marathon in Europe outside the UK?
Well, I've only done 2 races. So I went to see my sister and did one called Metz, which is like the equivalent of a Frenchman coming to do the Worcester City half marathon. It was not an international race at all. And that was a 10K. And that was just quite fun, being the novelty of doing a race in a language where nothing is in English and everything is, all you've got in common with everyone is running. You can't really speak to anyone or converse with anyone, apart from say, "Where is the library?" or whatever in French. But or the Amsterdam Marathon I did, which I know I always bang on about, but that I really genuinely enjoyed the Amsterdam Marathon. But if I had to choose one that I haven't done that I would really like to do in Europe, I would quite like to go for the Berlin. After seeing.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Am I back?
You are back.
But on dodgy settings. Here we go. Audio. Any minute now. You should get me the proper.
That's better. There we go.
Yes. Okay, that's it. So I think I would go for Berlin, maybe. It's a lot of fun. Did I tell you? I was mentioning the other day about Copenhagen Marathon. Got my eye on it. Sold out.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So the Copenhagen dream has already died before.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me just have a quick think. Is there any other massive? Rome would be quite cool to run around, I think. The Greek one. How cool would that?
Oh, yes.
The actual
the authentic marathon.
Yeah. But what would the equivalent of like the Great North Run be in Europe? Like what would you say the biggest? Is there a big half or anything in?
Copenhagen half looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Valencia half looks good as well.
Yes. Yeah. Which are all brands of the super halves. So
Yes.
after doing Cardiff, my first thought was I'd love to do this again. Now I can't do it. I'm now thinking if there's 5 others in Europe that are like Cardiff,
Yeah.
I would be very tempted to have a look at them. The Lisbon one, the pictures of the Lisbon one look amazing because you all run, 30 odd, 40,000 of you just run across this big road bridge across the sea or across the river. And it just looks absolutely fantastic. So I'd be interested to see what Lisbon and I think Prague is one as well. That would be wicked to run around Prague.
Yeah.
I don't know. In answer to your question, mate, all of them.
Yeah. See, I was going to say I'd love to do Valencia Marathon, but seeing Berlin and all the people doing Berlin and the fact it's a major, I think that's got to be on bucket list, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to run Berlin, and it looks like a fast course as well, so you could go out there and really give it some beans, couldn't you?
It looks like there's very few turns, doesn't it? It looks like there's very few corners.
Yeah. And that finish going through the arches, going through the gate.
Brandenburg Gate looks epic. Yeah.
So good. But
yeah.
Next comment was from Run Like a T-Rex, Dave. And this was on episode 35, which was the Quiney's Way, when we had the Quiney brothers on to talk about the upcoming marathon. He said, top episode, and have just subscribed to Todd's channel. Yes. I hope they both got what they wanted for champs and good for age for Chester. Well done on your unexpected Cardiff PB, Andy.
Cheers, Dave.
And then we have
it was the bloody Alphas.
Yes. Comment from Lee Rogers, who said, cheeky little pod guest request. Middle-aged running man. The guy's hilarious. So
I'm not sure if we could steal all Freddie Run's guests, can we? Because he was just on theirs.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Mom will be like doing the rounds, like some big podcast. But maybe one day in the future, who knows?
Yeah. We have got some other guests coming up, though, haven't we, in the pipeline? So
we do.
Look out for those, and hopefully we'll get the Quining brothers back to recap their marathon at some point.
Yeah.
Then we've got one from Thomas O'Connell, and he says, lads, thanks for getting back to me on the question. What Brett says definitely makes sense. I've been trying to nail both threshold and some faster stuff. Keep up the good work. All the best. And I think that was in response to the question about half marathon training and what specific training you should do for half marathon.
Because you were talking about threshold and stuff, weren't you? Yeah.
Yes. And then we've had one from episode 1 of our podcast. So it's mad that people are going back to the start and listening to all of them. So thank you so much to anybody who is doing that.
Is it our Uzbekistani listener?
It's somebody called Michael Ager or Ager, and he said, started listening to this today, going to go all the episodes from the start. It's good to hear what
he'll listen to this then in about a year.
Yeah. It's good to hear what real runners can do. I love my parkrun and do the Norwich 10K, but I'm a 26-minute 5K and 58-minute 10K, so not that good, but like to hear about running. I love when people say, I'm not that good, but they can run 26 minutes for 5K and 58 minutes for 10K, but I'm not that good. When you're running...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, when you're running under an hour for 10K, that's a decent running time. So stop putting yourself down, people. Everybody, don't stop saying you're not very good when you're brilliant.
If you run, you are a runner.
Yes. Then we've had one from Lee Chesterton. Another long one from Lee. He said, hi guys, just look back at my training from back in the 80s and early 90s. I used to run some decent times, even though I only ran 25 to 30 miles a week, being self-trained. I tried running with homemade leg weights, sand-filled socks tied around the ankles, and running in my working boots whenever we had deep snow in an attempt to build strength in my legs. You can imagine how light my high-tech Silver Shadows felt when I put them back on.
Silver Shadows? I used to have some of them.
I wonder if anyone else out there has any unconventional running methods. Thanks, guys, for the great podcast as usual. I was also wondering, after listening to all your pods, which amounts to over 70 hours and counting.
Oh my God. Poor Michael.
What else I could have done with my time, i.e. learnt the guitar or perhaps Mandarin. Keep up the good
can
work,
learn
lads.
a whole language.
Keep up the good work, lads. P.S. The best running experience back then was running around Abbey Park Golf Course on a moonlit, frosty night with only the sound of my footsteps on the deep, undisturbed snow crunching underneath my feet as I ran alone and free. Totally magical.
Poetry. That's poetry.
I was going to say that sounded like poetry. So if anybody has got any unconventional training methods, it'd be good to hear from you, hear about them. Have you ever had any unconventional training methods other than Daisy helping you with S&C?
That's quite that's quite X-rated, isn't it? No, not really. I mean, I've done a bit of. I mean, going back a while, I had a personal trainer a while ago, and it was all like proper old school kind of stuff, like flipping tires and that sort of stuff. So I quite enjoyed doing that sort of stuff. Flipping monster truck tires or tractor tires.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. But I've never did you see that thing? I don't know if we talked about it a few weeks ago. I saw there's a documentary on the BBC about Linford Christie around the Olympics time. And there was a little bit that went viral about him training for the 92 in Barcelona Olympics, I think it was. And he would hop 100 meters and hurdle those hops. So they'd put hurdles, like it was if there were the 110-meter hurdles, but he would have to hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have to hop. It's just that plyometric power to try and hop over those hurdles as fast as he could. It was amazing to watch. It was ridiculously amazing to watch. But
yeah, sprinters are a different breed, though, aren't they? They've got to have that explosive power, haven't they? Whereas, we're more about the endurance and the long distance stuff. Sprinters, they've got to be all about being in that anaerobic space instantly, and getting up to it and staying there for the whole of their race. So I don't get sprinting. It's mental.
Have you ever trained in a bin bag? Have you heard of that kind of training to make you sweat and to make you like? What is it?
There's a company now that makes a full tracksuit for that specific reason.
Right.
That you can put on and go for a run, and it makes you sweat more because it doesn't actually breathe.
Yeah, it doesn't let the heat escape, does it?
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of that? Your body's just working twice as hard.
Yes, and a lot of people use it as a weight loss thing.
Oh, I see. Because you're getting rid of so much water.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah, and your body's working harder to do the same stuff so you're sweating harder. Yeah. But can you imagine what it would be like to take that off after you've finished?
Oh,
you could probably open the cuff and just pour it out.
It's a bit of an old school. Maybe it's boxers or something that used to do that training. But I used to know someone that would literally rip 2 armholes out of a bin bag as if it turned up to a race. Yeah.
And then in the evening, put some fingernails on and go trick or treating. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that's up there. I know someone that used to do that, but I've never done that. But no, I don't have any unconventional training methods.
No. Yeah, my dad always used to say when he was younger, because he used to do motocross when he was younger. And one of the things he used to do was go and run across a ploughed field wearing his work boots. To like get the extra strength into his legs and get that stamina so he could go and ride around a field on a motorbike.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah. Then next comment is from Chip Rockets 99. And he says, great podcast again, lads. Out of all the running YouTubers, it's you two who have given me the confidence to finally tackle the full marathon, Brighton next year.
Amazing.
Yes, go on.
Yes.
Love the way you approach running. I find you guys a lot more relatable. It's really fun to watch your rate of progress and try to keep up with you. P.S. Andy, you just matched my half PB exactly, 1:33.19 at Hackney Half.
Awesome.
So
I'm in good
there we
company
go.
then. Yeah.
So that means then, Chip Rockets, that means that you've got to be aiming for 3:20 at Brighton.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on, mate. Come on.
Go on.
I literally would love to join you at Brighton next year, but that's another one that's sold out apparently already as well. Yeah. Everything's selling out so fast.
Manchester have just released their last 10% of tickets.
When is that release?
It's released now. It's open, so you can book your space at Manchester. They've got 10% of their places left.
I can't do that weekend because it's the same weekend as London, isn't it? I've got something on the Saturday before, so I know I can't do it.
Okay.
But yeah, let us know if you've got a place in Manchester.
Yeah. And then the last comment. No, not last comment. Sorry. Next comment is from Run Like a T-Rex again, Dave, who says, "Great pod, gents. Well done on another PB, Andy. Hell of a 2024 for you. And a 156 pod. Your move, Elliot and Co. Sub 2 hours." Amazing. Then one from Mark G from our episode 34 where we recapped Worcester half, and he put, "Listening to this one while doing my strength training. Congrats on the big PBs, lads." So thank you so much for that, Mark. And last comment is from Danny Findlay, and he says, "Hello, lads. Listening back to the pods, went back right to the pilot episode." So another person who's going right back, which is ace. So thanks, man. Fantastic to hear the developments of both of your training. The podcast is going from strength to strength. And I just completed Chester Marathon. Brutal. Back next year for the Triple Crown. Take care, lads. Keep up the fantastic training and the hard yards, miles, or kilometres.
They're all the same in the end. Yeah, nice one. Well done. On that note about the podcast, we have just passed over 20,000 listens on this podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, what are we actually on now? Hang on, let's find the number. We are on 21.8 thousand.
That's mad. That's absolute madness.
Yeah.
I know we all like a bit of some stats. Do you want to know the top 5? UK.
Is this from all time or just from this month?
All time. What do you want this month? Would that make it more exciting?
No, okay, all time.
Okay, so let me tell you, it is very close for 5th and 6th, but everyone else. Oh no, 3rd and 4th is close as well. Okay, so UK 82%. You know that's not going to change. Now, here's where it gets tasty. Ireland are in 2nd with 718 listens. Then it's Australia. They're 668 in 3rd. Then it's the USA, 623. So the top 4 is the battle for 2nd is quite tight. Then it drops down to 5th, who is the Netherlands, and that's 247. But 9 more listens from New Zealand, and you'd be in 5th.
Amazing.
So New Zealand, you're on 238. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And if you are a listener from any of those countries, please get in touch. Send us an email or comment on the YouTube video, or get in touch with us somehow over Instagram, and let us know that you are listening. It'd be great to hear from people the other side of the pond.
And also, if you are a listener from Bulgaria, Azerbaijan, the Faroe Islands, or Mauritius, why have you only listened to it once? What are we doing?
They are accidental listens.
Yeah. What's your problem? What's your problem, Vietnam and Macedonia? Uzbekistan, still one listen. Unbelievable. Romania, one listen. Algeria, one listen. Albania, Zimbabwe. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I said the other side of pond though, but they're the other side of the world. Some of them, Australia and New Zealand, the complete opposite side of the world. So, yeah,
it's mental. Mauritius, like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, yeah, thank you so much. And also, we're also on YouTube as well, as you probably know. If you're listening to this, and you can, if you want to watch this, maybe in the background while you're doing something, or maybe like Freddie Runs, if you've got a Tesla, you can stick us on YouTube while you're driving. On your because they've got like screens, haven't they? I don't know if they've got like
a big iPad, isn't it, on the middle of the dash?
Yeah. Did I tell you once I drove a Tesla once and it scared the life out of me?
Yeah.
Have you ever touched the accelerator on an electric car? It is crazy. Oh, we've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it scared the life out of me because those things have just got instant power. So yeah. Right. Well, we'll go through a couple of comments then, because emails. Because we've had a few of them. So this is from Ian McFarland, which we had 4 days ago. I'll just rattle through it. Hi, gents. Wanted to say, I absolutely love the podcast. It's been a staple of my long run since Edinburgh Marathon block, which has started in January. No doubt will continue to be so for the foreseeable. Andy, I came across your videos a couple of years ago and honestly was hooked straight away to your relatable nature, and running journey seemed to be just like mine. I chased things like a sub 20 5K for a long time this year, and also chased a 3:30 marathon where I narrowly missed out with a 3:32. I just wanted to say your attitude to keep grinding away at the distances is brilliant, and I'm in no doubt that the PBs will continue to fly in. A few episodes back, when you spoke about one day trying to get as close to a sub 3 marathon as possible, may sound out of reach, but if you keep chipping away, who knows what could be achievable in a year from now. Well, hang on a minute, Ian. I don't know if it's going to be achievable in a year, but who knows? Good luck on the rest of the Valencia block, and I hope that sub 25k gets smashed. Brett, I think when others see people like yourself flying in with speedy times, they forget just how much work goes into it, and it doesn't just happen by itself. Congratulations on all the PBs this year, and London next year will be another special one for you. I find that your straight to the point attitude and general advice really helpful too. And I love how you also continue to keep Andy in check when required. Brackets, I'm not slowing down for you. You'll have to speed up. Was a personal favourite and Andy's Bushy Park video. Lastly, a question to Brett. As said before, a sub 3 is the goal long term. But when was the point that you realised that you could feel like you could actually go for that sort of time? Any indicators, specifics, or anything that made you feel like a sub 3 could be on? I've got Manchester booked in April, which will probably come a bit too soon for that sort of effort, but just as a curiosity of mine. Keep up the great work, and thank you. Wow, what a great email. Cheers, Ian.
Yeah, Mason, thank you. I think the thing that made me not think I could do it, but want to try it was from joining a club and starting training a bit more serious. And when I realized that with specific training and with consistent effort, you can start making big progress, I then thought, okay, I'm going to try the marathon again. Because I'd decided when I did my 3:28 back in 2016, I decided that was marathons done for me. I was like, I broke 3:30. That's all I needed to do. I did run one the next year and got injured and was out for ages. And when I started running again during COVID, like during lockdown, I always said to myself, I'm just going to concentrate on the short distances up to half marathons. That's what I want to do. I don't think I want to push to the marathon again. It's too much effort, if you get what I mean. And it wasn't until I started making a load of progress through structured training and seeing that I could possibly run faster than I had in the past, and knowing that I could run the paces that were required for a sub 3, that's when I started to think about the possibility of running a marathon again. And I think it was knowing that my half marathon time was good enough to warrant thinking I could possibly run a sub 3. I don't think if I was still running like 125 for a half, I don't think I'd have even thought about trying to run a sub 3. But the fact I'd managed to get my half time down to a 121, it was within reach. So,
was that when I saw you at Redditch that once?
Yeah,
you ran 121. Was that one of the moments you thought, okay?
Yeah, I was like, if I can run that on that course, because it was majorly hilly, if I can run that sort of pace there, then there's a possibility that I could run.
You weren't marathoning back then, were you? That was 2022, I think.
Yeah.
The summer of 2022. I remember that. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, I guess there's a temptation, isn't there, to run let's say a 1:30 half marathon and think, well, I could probably do that again. I could probably do a sub 3. But I guess you need a bit of clearance, a bit of headroom in your times before you can go for the next one.
Yeah. Because a sub 3, like, you run the pace for a mile and you think, oh, it's not that bad. But it is a really quick pace over that distance of 26 miles. You really do start to notice how quick you've got to run for hitting that time. And it wasn't until I knew that like my 5K and 10K and half marathon times were within the realms of people who could run a sub 3 before I even thought it even came into my mind that I could possibly run a good marathon. So yeah, good, cool. Well, it's a great question, and we've got another one here from Darren Souster. I think that's how you say your name, Souster. Souster. It can't be Souster, can it? Souster, I think it is. We'll go with Darren. Yeah.
Brett and Andy, thanks so much for all your hard work producing the podcast. I really enjoy listening on my walk to work and back every day. Bit of background on me before my question. Like many others, I'm a lockdown runner who has found myself at a good standard as a result of the running boom, where it seems like everyone in the UK is taking part in long distance running events. While this is probably the main reason for my race entry fees skyrocketing to the eye-watering levels in recent years, this surge in popularity is undoubtedly a good thing for the sport, as it has never been easier to find relevant running content that applies to whatever level you are at as a runner. For the past 2 years, I worked with a coach and had successful training blocks for Manchester, Malaga, and London marathons. The latter being London 2024, where I narrowly missed out on my target of 2:29x. However, I couldn't not be pleased with a new PB of 2:30:59. Wow. Starting in the championship pen was a goal of mine since I started running, and for London 2024, it did not disappoint. Standing on that start line behind world-class superstars like Bekele, Tola, Emil Caress, and all setting off on the same gun made me feel like a proper athlete. Surely there is no other sport where an average guy like myself can train hard and be rewarded with an opportunity to compete with the absolute best in the world for one of the biggest events in their calendars. It felt like the equivalent of walking out at Stamford Bridge alongside Cole Palmer and playing the first 2 minutes of a Premier League match. Genuinely surreal. Excluding Malaga, which takes place in December, the bulk of the training for these races took place in the cold, dark, wintry conditions while I juggled other life commitments. This took its toll, and while I loved every second of race day, I was desperately in need from a long break from running and training in general after London. To be honest, it's now October and I haven't gone back to anything other than a handful of easy 5K or 10K runs per week. As I'm now officially self-coached, the lack of accountability for efforts and lack of creativity I have when coming up with sessions has resulted in me well and truly being stuck in a rut. As you know, last week saw the announcement from London Marathon that they would be tightening the screw when it comes to qualifying times, reducing the championship entry to a guaranteed sub 2:38 men for 2025 and adopting a Boston-style cutoff for a reduced number of places in 26. Depending on the amount of places on offer, coupled with how fast everyone seems to be getting, I imagine somewhere in the 220s will be necessary to secure one of those. You would think this announcement would be perfect thing to motivate me to get back into the training wagon, but so far no luck. Part of your podcast that really resonates with me is how honest and transparent you both are when it comes to training. As someone who does not stretch, yes, or do any S&C, yes, it does really it makes me laugh when I hear about Andy's ducking and diving from S&C, as it is so relatable to my experiences. I would like to think that at some point in your running journey, both of you will have experienced a slump in their training and struggled for motivation and wanted to ask how you overcame this. Hopefully, some words of wisdom from you two will be the push that I need to pull it all back together. Thanks in advance, Darren. Well, I feel underqualified to give you advice, if I'm being honest, Darren.
Same here, yeah.
Because
wow, 2:30 at London, that's incredible.
That is phenomenal. And to say that he sounded sort of, he couldn't not be pleased with a PB of 2:30.59. He was 1 minute shy of that sub 2:30. That is, that is just like, we're talking 1 second per mile or 2 seconds per mile, something like that.
Yeah.
The margins. Wow, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, Darren, take anything I say with a pinch of salt, because like I say, week in, week out, I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. But all I know is how much I just love the sport. I just genuinely, I've got to a point now where I eat, sleep and breathe it. Like it's probably is rubbing salt into the wound, because you're probably feeling like the opposite to this right now. But I just love the community aspect of it, I think. So I just love a park run. I love everything from the actual run itself to the warm-up, to wondering how I'll do that day, to the donuts and the coffees after, to doing different venues. I mean, I know it's harder for different people because they can't maybe travel to different park runs, or, they can't do this. But for me, it's the people I've met within running that's really, really helped, I think. And have I had a training slump? A couple, but they've only been really from illness, really, rather than feeling either burnt out or I'm chasing an ungettable target, which, will happen to me at some point. It's just inevitable. Whenever you chase numbers, you're going to come upon those kind of times. But yeah, I mean, feel free to take no notice of anything I say, but it's community for me. I'm just such a big fan of running with others. Like, for example, the other day, last week, I remember, I don't know if you remember me talking about a guy, Ben, who really wanted a sub, was it 24? He wanted a 24-minute park run last week. So I said, right, we'll try and pace you. And it didn't quite happen for Ben. But what was so inspiring was he ran 3K with Mac and I pretty much to the letter. He was on pace. Then he had to take a few walk breaks. And even though he knew, I'm not going to PB now, it's just mathematically impossible, he didn't throw his toys out the pram, still had a smile on his face. We still had a laugh and a joke, and he finished like a Trojan. He still gave it everything. And it's just like little things like that were just so, maybe I felt like I was more of a hindrance than a help to him on the day, but it was just so nice to be there for him and just be pushing him forward, because who knows, without me and Matt there, he might have found it more stressful or more not as enjoyable. But it's just nice to help people, I guess, and just get involved with the community.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. Get yourself down to a park run. There is nothing better than a park run on a Saturday morning. Just the people there, number one, but number two, a little bit of friendly competition. There's nothing better than that on a weekend, going down and just running with people and trying to outdo each other. But it's not like we're doing it because we're trying to win something or trying to achieve anything in particular. It's just a little bit of friendly competition, and can I beat them to the finish line rather than them beating me? So I'd say that's the first thing I'd do. I'd go down to Parkrun and go and get your love for running back again. But then the other thing, I'm pretty sure to start on the championship start at London, you've got to have your club vest. So you must be a member of a club. Get down to your club sessions. There's nothing I love more than going on a Tuesday and Thursday evening down to club to have a bit of a chat with my mates down at club, and then go and bust out some hard efforts and reps, and then have a nice jog, warm down afterwards, and have another chat with everybody, and then and then going in the gym and doing my S&C and everything. But Andy doesn't know anything about S&C, so it's all good. But yeah,
nor does Darren. And he's running 2:30.
I know. But there's no. I don't think there's anything better than just the running with people, as Andy said. Get into a situation where you can go and run people, because it's always hard dragging yourself out. I must admit that some Sundays on my long run, I get out of bed and I don't want to go for my Sunday long run. It is sometimes a chore to get out the door. And sometimes I think, oh yeah, I'll get out the house and I'll get my run done before morning's out. And then by lunchtime, I can have the rest of the day to myself. And I wake up, I get into my running gear and go and fart around downstairs doing stuff that I don't really need to be doing, but distracting myself from the fact I've got to go out the door and go and run. And I end up running at like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've not ruined my whole day, but I've wasted the whole morning, and then I'm going to go and do a long run for a couple of hours. So I'm not going to be back till the late afternoon. So I'm only going to have the evening to myself. But even though I go and run at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, as soon as I get out on that run, the first couple of miles is always a bit of a drag. But as soon as those endorphins start hitting and that adrenaline comes in, you feel amazing. And I get home from the run and I'm proper pumped. And then I end up doing stuff in the evening because I've enjoyed my run. And it's sometimes a struggle to get out, but it's like, there's that saying, isn't there? You never regret a run, but you always regret not doing a run. So get out there and go running. But the easiest way to do that is go and run with people. So I would say, get down to Parkrun on Saturday morning and get down to your club sessions and just go and run with people and find that joy for running again, because I cannot wait to get back down to club and go and run this next week. I can't wait. I'm itching to get out for a run because I haven't been able to all week. But one of the best things is to go and see your mates and go and run with them. Yeah.
I'm also doing a bit of run exploring tomorrow. So I don't know if that's something you ever do, Darren, but I'm working in Bournemouth tomorrow just for the day. So I'm factoring in, because I've got to get my volume in for the week. So I'm going to, on the way home, I'm going to take my short shorts with me and get changed in the car. And I'm going to go and do a 10K on the seafront before I come home, because I'm going to be somewhere new, somewhere I don't really go very often. And it's just, for us landlocked Midlanders, Amazing. It's just going to be fun to go down by the sea. So I'm going to do an easy 10K down by the beach. And so I'm looking forward to that. Awesome. So awesome email. That was a really honest and awesome email. I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people. So this one's from Nathan. He's written into the podcast a couple of times. This is Nathan Hampson. Brett and Andy, I hope you're both doing well. I wanted to follow up with an update from the Chester Marathon on Sunday. I'm excited to share that I hit a new personal best with a time of 2:50.52. Wow. That said, it wasn't an easy race, and I also struggled with a stitch for most of the race and found it tough to settle into a rhythm. It made the race a real grind, but pushing through those moments made the result even more rewarding. I've got Oxford Half this weekend, but I'll be pacing a friend, hopefully to a PB. Do you guys have any tips for a first-time pacer? Potentially. I'm sure Brett can tell you a few. Just shout really aggressively at them the whole way around. Potentially, I'm doing the Alton Towers half, so I might see you there. Thanks again for the podcast and keeping me sane on those long runs.
Amazing.
Cheers, Nathan.
Nathan, mate, congratulations. What a time. 250.
Yeah,
mate. That's amazing work. Especially as I think Manchester was the first time he broke 3 hours. So this year he's gone from running his first ever sub 3 to running a 250. So
with Stitch.
Amazing.
Do you ever get Stitch?
Oh, I've got Stitch in a couple of runs and it's horrendous. It's
where do you seem to get it in the same spot every time? Because I do.
Not necessarily, no. Sometimes it's a bit lower in your stomach and sometimes it's up near my ribs.
Yeah, so with me, I always get it in the rear. I always get it. As a soundbite, that's bad, isn't it? I always get it in the rear.
I always get it in the
rear. I always get it in the back of my rib cage, right near my shoulder blade. And it makes taking a breath in just agony. And it's just like, it's just hell. But no matter where you get it in your rib or your rib cage, your lung, it's not pleasant. So yeah, amazing work for pushing through that. I'd be keen to know how long that lasted.
Yeah.
For me, it's normally like, I don't know, 10 minutes max. But I can imagine if that lasts any longer than that, that's just horrible. But yeah, Oxford half as well is pacing a friend. So any tips?
Pacing. So keep the pace even and steady. Don't go out too fast and try and bank time. If you're pacing someone, try and keep the pace as even as possible throughout the whole race. So like when I took you out at Worcester last year, we said we're going to run 7:14s. So it was, I'm going to run 7:14s from the start. And at the end, I'm going to be running 7:14s. If Andy comes along with me, that's great. If he falls off, I'm still going to be running 7:14s and he can see the target that he's got to hit. See, and as you said from your Bushy Park video, I'm a little bit harsher on Andy because
really harsh.
Because I can be, but it is a case of I am running the pace that you need to run. I am not going to go fall back off pace just because you're feeling it a little bit. It's a case of you need to run this pace. You are pushing yourself, and it hurts because you're pushing yourself to this hard race effort. But it all depends on what their pace is pacing for. Are they pacing for a PB, where that is the route I would go of, I'm going to run the pace that you need to run. So stick with me and we'll cross that line at the time. Or are they trying to pace just to have a good race and a good time whilst they're doing the thing? Therefore, you can be a little bit more lax with the time. So you probably can ease off if they are feeling it because they've not got a set time in as their target. It's just a case of they want to finish and feel strong. But if it's a time goal, I think you've got to be as dead on that pacing time as you can and as even as you can all through the race. And if they want to pick it up in that last little bit, pick it up with them and take them along for the ride.
I heard Philly Bowden say this in her Berlin video, which I think is quite good. Ask your mate what they want to hear at 10 miles, at 11, at 12 miles. Ask them how they want to be talked to. Do they need a good reminding? Yeah. Do they need to be? Do they need an arm around the shoulder, or do they need a Brett Elesmore? Do they need? Because you'll know them probably better than anyone else, so you'll know what they can and can't tolerate. But you've also got, I think you've got to be motivational, but also not discipline. That's the wrong word, but you've got to try and get them over the line by hook or by crook, I guess.
And if they're going for a PB, it's going to hurt. They're going to be in pain. They're going to be uncomfortable. But your encouragement needs to get them through that uncomfortable feeling. And when it's Andy, I know that me going, "Oh, you're doing really well, Andy. Come on, mate. Yeah, you're doing really well." That's not going to do any favors for him, because then he's going to go, "Oh, I'm doing really well. I'll slow down a little bit then." No, I need to, you've got to give him some harsh love. So yeah.
Tough love, yeah. And as well, from a practical point of view, stay 2 or 3 seconds ahead of pace as well, because I think you're probably not going to find a race, especially as they get longer, from 10K and beyond, that will run short. So to GPS, because of all the winding. I've heard that Oxford is a bit twisty and turny as well, so that will gain meters or yards on your watch. So stay ahead of pace, I would.
Yeah. So either stay ahead of pace or use the mile markers on the course to split your watch to check that you're on pace. Yeah.
We've got one more to read through. And we've got another question after that, which we'll leave to next week. So this is another Chester-related one, and it starts with, "Hey up, lads. As requested, a quick..." This is from James Crooks. He says, "Hey up, lads. As requested, a quick update on Chester. Anything sub 330 was my A target. Having watched Andy's vlog from last year, I knew I needed to save plenty for the second half, whilst trying to get some time in hand if possible. So with that in mind, I settled into a nice rhythm over the first 20K with a couple of 49-minute 10Ks done, feeling really comfortable. The next 10K felt much the same, with another low 49-minute 10 ticked off. Then the long slog back up to Chester kicked in. I remember that very well. Not sure if it was in my head, but it seemed to drag uphill for the entire 10K. It took everything I had not to walk, particularly on the last steep kick up to Chester. Then I picked up on the flat roads and the buzz of the crowd and managed to drop my fastest 2Ks of the race to finish. I got in with a time of 3:28:59, which I'm over the moon with. Just a steady 42-minute marathon PB. Andy, great running in Cardiff. I've been watching your Valencia series and know that you're on for a great time there. Also, just a really quick question, discussion topic, just what we need at 2 hours and 58 seconds. I think you touched on it in the past, but do you guys use training apps? Have you ever used them? I think if I want to get faster, particularly in the marathon, the big improvement for me would be in consistency, and I think a training app would help. All the best, lads. Keep up the great work, James. What a hero, James.
Yes.
Flipping hell, man. 3:28:59. I would love to have seen your boat race when you crossed the line and realised you'd done it. That was especially after a monster 2K. Because if he's come in 61 seconds shy of 3:30, that probably means that your last 2K you might not have made it unless you hit that last 2K hard. Yeah. So that must have been
it's amazing.
So hard. But I'd love to know where that 2K came from. Was it thinking about other people? Was it thinking about your training? Was it the buzz of the crowd? I just would love to know. So, but yeah, well done, mate. And phenomenal work. What an achievement. 42-minute marathon PB. Flipping out. How many people can say that?
Yeah. Amazing.
If I got a 42-minute marathon PB, that would put me at about 250. So
excellent.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do at Valencia. So what do you think about training apps and Runner and those sorts of apps?
I've never used one because when I started getting serious into my running, I was setting myself training sessions, and then obviously I joined a club and sessions were set for us. So I tend to work off those rather than an app telling me. And as I said, Adam Neil, he is using Runner for his York Marathon training. And it sounds like it's worked pretty well for him, but I am a bit dubious about some of the sessions that it's setting for him as a first-time marathoner. As I say, he smashed his longest run out of the park and that session. But as a session for a first-time marathoner, he's never run a marathon before. And in his first ever marathon training block, his longest run of the block was a 21-miler with 2 blocks of 6 mile at faster than race pace. which to me seems like an odd session to set someone for their main training run for their block.
So close to the race.
So close to the race. That's what I mean. Should you really be running faster than race pace for 20k 3 weeks before a marathon? Possibly not. So yeah, there are some dubious things. And like on one of the sessions that he did, the app told him to do a tempo 5k. So there was a warm up, a tempo 5k, and a warm down. But the tempo pace they set him was sub 20 pace, and it was
Bloody
like,
hell.
that's not tempo pace. Tempo is your marathon pace, pretty much. So why is it setting him to run sub 20 5k as a tempo run? So yeah, although I think he's got on really well with it, but I think there are issues with apps, especially as these new ones are very AI based. They're not humans setting you training based on your training. If it was somebody sat at a computer and you were telling them what you were doing, and they were looking at it and individually putting that training back to you for you specifically, then yes, that's cool. But this generic AI stuff, I'm not sure how helpful that actually is.
I think as well, if you live a really predictable life where you do the same thing, eat the same thing, have the same amount of sleep every day, which let's face it, nobody does, then yes, it could work for you. But if you're lifing hard, if you're stuck in traffic one day and you've got to get home and run a sub 20 5k, and you probably are just about running that anyway, that's probably not going to make you feel very good the day after. And by the way, you got a 21 mile the day after. So I don't know. It's just I've got a little. Maybe I'm a bit old school, but I just think these things forget sometimes that you have a life, and
very much
maybe
so. And
maybe they're pushing you to your limits, which is great.
And it doesn't know if you've had a good night's sleep. It doesn't know if you've been stressed at work. It doesn't know whether you've had a particularly hard day at work. It doesn't know any of this stuff. It just says, go and do this. And there's no way of you saying, but can I modify the training because I don't feel great? It's just, no, this is your training. Go and do it.
Yeah.
Whereas a human interaction as a coach can see that you're knackered, or it can see that you've had a hard day, or can see you're a little bit under the weather or run down, and they'll modify things for that. So I don't know.
But also I totally understand that it takes away the stress of having to come up with a plan, stress of finding a coach. Maybe you're the sort of person that prefers less human interaction, or they don't respond well to others telling them what to do. So maybe like an AI source telling them what to do is perfect for you. So it depends on your character and your wants and your needs. But I don't think it would be for me, if I'm being honest. I don't think it would be for me.
No. But that was a interesting way to end the podcast. That was quite a deep conversation for that last question.
Probably was.
But So that pretty much brings us to the end for this week. So thank you so much to everybody for listening or watching wherever you are in the world, whether you're the other side of the globe or whether you're just down the road listening. We really do appreciate every single one of you. But if you are from one of those far-flung countries, please do get in touch and let us know what you think. But
we should have said our favourite half marathons in Bulgaria. It's in Uzbekistan.
But thank you so much for listening, and we will see you again next week. Cheers, guys.
Take it easy, everybody.